Hi, I'm Holliday, and this is Looking into Evil and Baking. This week we'll be baking butter pecan cookies and talking about some evil. If you want the directions for how to make these cookies, I put it in the description below. Let's get started. I don't always have to say it like this. Let's get started. Like what? Today we're going to talk about a stalker. You know, the people that just don't leave you alone, the people that always know where you are, what you're doing, have pictures in their closet of you worshiping you, have an altar of you just like Helga had an altar of Arnold in her closet. Today we're going to talk about Richard Wade Farley. So where do we begin? Let's talk about the woman who he decided to stalk. Her name is Laura Black, and she is a 23-year-old woman who is a computer engineer, and she works at ESL Incorporation in Sunnyvale, California. She was given a high-tech defense contract by ESL, which is Electromagnetic System Laboratory. And then there is Richard Farley, or Farley, who we will say. He is a 40-year-old man. Farley was born July 25th, 1948. He's the oldest of 6 children. His father is in the Air Force and his mother is just a stay-at-home mom. They are a military family, and he was always, anytime somebody asked about him, he was looked at as a normal kid. They called him a wimp, so I'm assuming that they believed he was a weak person, which is sad, you know. He was very nonviolent, no criminal history or anything, so when we see the things that he do later on, it seems as if he had a mental breakdown from a woman just not wanting to be with him. And it's odd. Richard actually, when he gets older, he actually follows in his dad's footsteps and goes into the military. He ends up enrolling into the Navy. He is an amazing marksman. He was actually trained in technology for like computers and everything, and then he ends up getting a job at ESL. Richard, he welcomed Laurel to the team and everything. They both were co-workers. It started off really nice, really easy. Laurel, meets the team, is excited to work. She meets Richard, and, it's just, oh, nice to meet you. Welcome to the team and everything. And then it's like, great, cool. Let's just go back to work. Nope, Richard decides to ask Laurel out. But Laurel is like, no, I'm okay. I would like to keep it professional. We were, we're coworkers. We shouldn't even be trying to discuss us even dating or anything. So she lets him down gently, the professional way. And Richard takes it nicely in the beginning, because let me tell you, once Richard saw Laurel, he fell in love with her immediately. Not like a second, not like, oh, after months of working together. No, he fell in love with Laurel immediately. What we learn from this interaction is that Richard doesn't understand the word no. So this is where the stalking actually starts to take place. We know that Laurel has said no to dating him and everything. So Richard is trying to, show her, you know what, we can do this. We can be together. And it doesn't even matter. We're coworkers, right? You like me. I like you. He starts leaving gifts at her desk. He starts writing her letters. He starts calling her desk every hour or every chance he gets just to see how she's doing, see how her day is, and then he asks her out on a date, and we all know Laurel declines. And then one day, Richard decides, you know what? I know we belong together. I truly know we belong together. So I'm going to get a copy of her desk key from the custodian to leave her gifts inside of her desk. And after that, shit goes wild. He starts showing up to her aerobics class. He finds her house phone number. He starts calling her house. Her house. When you think you're safe at home and oh, here it is and you're not. He escalated like pretty quick. So he went from calling her house to now driving past her house. And you want to know how he got that information about where she lived and her house phone number? He got it from somebody in HR. He bribed somebody in HR to give him her personal information. That's so scary that somebody would actually do that. Oh my God. Especially somebody in HR would give out your personal information. I mean, I know we're talking about like 1990s or whatever, but for somebody to give out your personal info, I think would honestly just, it's terrifying. But you know what? Laurel isn't weak. She isn't weak. She, you know what? She starts to fight back. I can tell you how she fights back. First of all, she moves about 4 times, but somehow, some way, Richard always finds out where she lives. Actually, he ends up telling ESL that he's actually actively stalking her, and they just all they do is give Richard counseling. She constantly changes her lock. She constantly doesn't tell nobody where she's living, but Richard just seems to escalate more. After, like, remember when I said he got her desk key? He started leaving letters at her desk and then he started sending them to her house. He started leaving letters on her car. In the end, he ends up almost sending about 200 letters. And even when he's in prison, he sends her letters from prison. After around like 1986, ESL finally fires Richard for his stalking and also lack of how he is his work performance. So now that they fire Richard, guess what Richard has? He has nothing but time. Nothing but time on his hands to stalk Laurel. Oh my God. And he actually ends up getting another job with a competing company against ESL, but I'm guessing he's working either from home, he doesn't have to go in, but he has nothing but time on his hands now. So now he's starting to call her house more, send letters more, pop up at her house. Like, even if Laurel, like, what, for example, he'll call her phone, say Laurel answers this one time, right? And he says, oh, I would like for you to go on a date with me or everything, come on, let's go on a date. And Laura says, no, I'm okay. I don't want that to happen. He'll still show up at her house, or he'll leave messages at her house. Because, after a while, I'm pretty sure she stopped answering the phone. And then say that the message says, oh, hey, Laura, would you like to go on a date Sunday? And say that she doesn't respond, doesn't call him back or anything. He will still show up Sunday for the date. What? It's like, listen, bruh, take a fucking guess that I don't want to talk to you. Please leave me alone. And as we can see, Richard is probably not going to leave Laura alone. So one day, while Laura is at work, these cookies are going to be huge, by the way. So one day, while Laura is at work, he decides to go to her house and try to figure out her garage door code. So he spends hours upon hours putting in different codes, hoping to know or figure out what it is. Multiple attempts of trying to get Laurel to go on a date with him to talk to her. He finally writes her one letter that says, the shit has hit the fan. You're not going out with me. Why not? Now you're pissing me off. Like, bro, she's been saying for the longest that she doesn't want to go out and you keep trying to make her go out. What are you not understanding? While he was stalking Laurel, everything in his life started to like crumble. He lost his house. He had to move into a motorhome. He was being investigated for tax fraud for not paying his taxes. But while all this stress and everything was going on, he was still able to stalk Laurel 24/7. Didn't miss a beat. And since he's not missing a beat and he has all this time to figure out what he can do to her, One day, Laurel comes out to her car and she finds a gift on her car windshield. She opens the gift up and it's a key, but not just any key, it's the key to her front door. Her front door. And she saw that as a threat from Richard that one day maybe she's sleeping or maybe she's alone and she'll just hear her front door open and he'll be inside. And I'm not gonna lie, that is so terrifying. So Laurel decided to go and get a restraining order from the family courts, and hopefully the restraining order would protect her. This actually forced Richard to have to come to court and admit to his stalking and everything that was going on, and for her to actually say and tell them like, hey, this is going on. I'm not trying to be with him at all, but he keeps harassing and stalking me. So let's finish up these cookies. We might have a little bit left over, which is fine because they're gonna like grow a lot. I mean, maybe we won't. Maybe, listen, they're gonna be kind of like smushed together. So who doesn't like smushed cookies? Okay, who doesn't like smushed cookies? All right, let's go put these in the oven and then I will be back to tell the rest of the story. Richard decides to go to Laurel's lawyer and bring him all this evidence that him and Laurel have actually been dating for months, and that they have phone call recordings, gifts. He has receipts from dinners that they went on. And Laurel's lawyer was smart. He knew it was all bullshit at the end of the day. And he just, took the information, was like, oh, okay. And I'm pretty sure he took it and is going to use it against Richard for evidence. And that was plan A. Plan B is that Richard actually also goes to buy a shotgun and some ammo. I'm pretty sure you see where this is going. He goes to buy a shotgun and some ammo. And also, I believe he buys a rifle, if I'm not mistaken. He has a .22 rifle, a .357, two revolvers, and two shotguns now. And he needs ammo for all of them, and he gets it. What is he going to do with these guns and ammo? He's going to get the woman that he loves with it. February 16th, Richard actually goes to ESL in Sunnydale, California. He parks his motorhome in front of the building. He puts on a bulletproof vest and he also loads all of his guns, and he goes to the side door because he does not have clearance to come into this this building anymore. He goes to the side door, blows open the side door with the shotgun, and he goes in and he starts looking for Laurel. He goes through everybody and anybody that he comes across. He ends up killing them. He eventually does find Laurel, and she sees him and she slams office door into his face, which causes him to fire at the door, which he barely misses her, and she locks her door and basically hides. And what happened is that he blows that door down with his shotgun, and then he shoots Laurel in the shoulder and leaves her on the floor unconscious to bleed out. By the time he's doing all this, the SWAT team has police have showed up, and he goes on a 5-hour standoff just to not go to jail. He starts moving from room to room so he's not sniped by a sniper that could get him from a window. Actually, what happens is Laurel ends up coming to, and she ends up hiding with some other employees who is hiding from Richard. Eventually, the employees and Laurel are able to escape. Richard ends up giving it up after 5 hours, and then he negotiates with the police, and he says, I'll give it up if you guys give me a sandwich and a soda. They end up giving him the sandwich and soda, obviously. And he ends up honestly killing about 7 people that day. Laurel spends 19 days in a hospital and is finally discharged. The next day, court proceedings actually still go forward. He, in court, admits to killing the 7 individuals and being charged with first-degree murder. Actually, the judge has some words. She says that a piece of paper does not protect people from bullets, regardless of, Laurel getting a restraining order, but what was really going to save her from a gun. And what Richard actually comes up with is that he actually, the mass shooting that he basically committed on ESL wasn't premeditated, even though he had guns and a vest on, wasn't premeditated. He was actually going to find Laurel and he was going to commit suicide in front of Laurel to show her that this is what happens when you reject me and to get her attention. But as we see, when you do certain events before committing these events, you realize this seems like it's a little premeditated, because I don't think you need 50. Well, I'm exaggerating, not 50,000 guns, but I'm exaggerating. I don't think you need, how much did he have? He had 2 revolvers, 2 shotguns, and a rifle on him. I don't think you need that many guns just to do suicide in front of a woman. Even though it's kind of crazy that you even want to do suicide in front of her to basically show her a lesson. He is saying all this basically during court that, he was just going to commit suicide in front of her. And his lawyer is even bold enough to say that, hey, my client, Richard Farley, isn't a violent guy. And everybody is shocked that he even says this, because do you not see that he just killed 7 people over being rejected by a woman? You serious right now? Like, there's no way that you don't believe that he's violent. And he's trying to put this in account all because Richard doesn't have any prior violent crimes or any violent acts that he's committed in his life until this one. Richard is convicted of 7 counts of first-degree murder. He is sentenced to death at San Quentin's prison, and I believe he still sits on death row till this day, waiting, because he went to court a few times to try to get his death sentence overturned, but the Supreme Court ended up stating that the judgment that was given was the right judgment. I mean, well, you killed 7 people, and it's crazy because these shenanigans, there is actually a movie that came out about Richard and Laurel. It's called Finding Laurel, and it's about a man that stalks a woman until, after all this happens, the state of California starts to look into laws about stalking, but they do not place any laws, or the first laws in America they never place until actor Rebecca Schaefer is stalked and then killed by her stalker. And at this moment, that's when they decide to take action to show that stalking is something serious that is going on and people are in danger. And here are our butter pecan cookies that we just made. They look so amazing. Look. What? Soft. This was a nice craft to do while we talked about, someone eat like evil. Hopefully this week we'll have a craft and a video. And, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I really hope that you enjoyed this week's video, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.